Hello students, today we are going to start topic number 9.6, refraction through a prism. Now students, carefully look at this figure. Here a triangular prism is shown in the figure, and at this surface, that is AB, a ray of light is incident. It incident at point Q, and so a normal to the surface is drawn here, and angle made by this incident ray with the normal is incident angle I. Now here this medium is N1 and this medium is N2. This is the medium of the prism of which it is made up of. Suppose a glass, and here this medium is suppose air. Not necessary, it can be water also. Suppose the prism is kept in a water, then this medium N1 will be water. Now we know that when the medium changes and when a ray travels from a rarer medium to denser medium, what will happen? It will refract and it will bend towards the normal. And so here this incident ray will bend towards the normal. See, this is the refracted ray. Now once again, what happens? This refracted ray incident at this point R. Once again the medium changes. Now the medium is from N2 to once again N1. But now it is from denser medium to rarer medium. So once again what we will do? At this point R, we will draw a normal. Normal is perpendicular to this AC. And so now this ray will bend away from the normal, and when it bends away from the normal, incident angle is smaller and refracted angle is larger. So now students, let us call this angle as an emergent angle E. So incident angle, and this is the emergent angle E. Here this is the angle of prism. This A is the angle of prism. And now here angle of deviation. Students, carefully look here. Actually the ray which was incident, it has to move in this straight line, and this emergent ray, it is this. So actually this incident ray has to move in this direction, but it emerges out of the prism in this direction. And so angle made by incident ray and the emergent ray is this angle, and here it is shown, that is delta. So delta is a angle of deviation. Deviation of what? Deviation of this incident ray, because this incident ray has been deviated and it is emerging out in this direction. Now students, here this angle is R1, angle of refraction at this point Q, and this is deviation delta 1 at this point. Once again at this point, this is angle delta 2, second time deviation. So students, carefully look here. this is the incident ray for this surface AC. So now actually this ray has to move in this direction straight, but when it emerges out of the prism, it is bending in this direction. So this angle is the angle of deviation. First time where deviation occurred? First time the deviation occurred here. So that is delta 1. And second time this was the deviation, but we know that here if we extend this emergent ray backward, then this angle and this angle, they are vertically opposite angle. So if we call this as the deviation delta 2, then even this is a delta 2 that I have shown here. So 2 times deviation occur, and if we add these two deviations delta 1 and delta 2, then we get the total deviation delta. Okay, so now you understood about the concept of this figure and its mechanism. Now let us start with the quadrilateral AQNR. Students, here you can see A, Q, and R. This is a quadrilateral. Here you can see this angle, they are 90. For this quadrilateral, these two angles are 90°. And we know that sum of all the four angles of the quadrilateral is equal to 360. But as these two are 90, so 90 plus 90, 180. And so what is the summation of this angle A and this angle N? Definitely it is 360 minus 180, and that is equal to 180. So students, this angle A plus angle N, or you can say Q and R, this angle, their sum is 180, and that I have written here. Angle A plus angle Q and R is equal to 180. Equation number 1. Now in triangle QNR, triangle QNR, we know that sum of all the three angles of our triangle is 180. And so here we can write R1 plus R2 plus this angle, that is QNR, is equal to 180. And so I have written that R1 plus R2 plus angle QNR is equal to 180. Equation number 2. Now simply compare these two equations. Here in equation number 1, on right hand side 180, in equation number 2 on right hand side is 180 only. So we can say that this term on the left side of equation 1 should be equal to these terms on the left side of equation number 2, and in both these terms QNR common, so cancelled. What is remain here? R1 plus R2, and here A. So R1 plus R2 is equal to A. So I have written here, comparing equation number 1 and 2, we get R1 plus R2 equal to A. Let us give this equation number 3. Now, as I said earlier, deviation delta is equal to delta 1 plus delta 2. But here you have to mention this. Delta is an exterior angle of triangle MQR. Concept of exterior angle. Let us see this. In this triangle MQR, you can see this triangle. In this triangle, if I extend this line, then here it makes delta. So this delta is an exterior angle, and we know that exterior angle is the sum of the remaining two interior opposite angles. So this delta 1 and this delta 2, they are the interior opposite angles, and so this exterior angle should be sum of the two interior opposite angles, and that's why delta is equal to delta 1 plus delta 2. Let us give this equation number 4. Also, I is equal to R1 plus delta 1 and E is equal to R2 plus delta 2. How? Let me show you. Angle of incident I, this angle. Now students, carefully look here. This angle I here, and here this angle, they are vertically opposite angles and they are always equal. So I should be equal to this two. This angle, that is delta 1, plus this angle, that is R1. So these two are equal. So I is equal to R1 plus delta 1. Similarly, here angle of emergent, this angle and this angle, they are vertically opposite angles and they are congruent. So E should be equal to R2 plus this angle, and this angle is nothing but it is delta 2. So E is equal to R2 plus delta 2. So now let us give this equation number 5. Here I have mentioned that vertically opposite angles. Now simply adding left left and right right. On left side we will get I plus E, and on right side R1 plus R2 plus delta 1 plus delta 2. But what is delta 1 plus delta 2? It is delta. So in place of this we will write delta. And what is R1 plus R2? It is A. See here, it is R1 plus R2 is A. So from equation number 3 and 4, we have written for this A and for this delta. On right hand side, on left hand side, it is same. So this equation is known as equation of prism. This equation can also be written in terms of delta like this, but it is easy to remember this. I plus E is equal to A plus delta. Students, it is clear from the above equation that the angle of deviation depends on the angle of incident. You can see deviation, and here it is I. If you change I, then even delta also changes. From the figure also, you can easily predict that if you change this angle of incident, then this angle will also change, this angle E will also change, and even this angle delta will also change. So delta depends on incident angle. Now about graph of incident angle versus delta, because we know that delta changes with respect to I, so we can plot a graph of I versus delta. So now students, you can see in this graph, this line represents angle of incident and this vertical line represents angle of deviations. Now you can see when the incident angle is 0, at that time what is deviation? As this graph is moving in the upward direction, we can say that deviation is nearly infinite. That is, maximum deviation will be there when the angle is 0. Now if we increase the incident angle from 0 to 20 and so on, what will happen? The deviation will decrease. It will move in this direction. As you increase the angle of incidence, then deviation will decrease, and at one particular angle the deviation becomes minimum. Once again, if you will go on increasing that incident angle, then deviation will not decrease. Now reverse process will occur. Deviation will once again increase, and so this point at which the deviation is minimum is denoted by dm, that is angle of minimum deviation. And remember students, when the minimum deviation occurs, at that time this angle of incidence and angle of emergence, they becomes equal. So it happens, this condition happens only when there is a minimum deviation. For other angle of deviations, suppose at 50-degree deviation, you will find this point also and this point also. That means 50-degree deviation can occur at this incident angle as well as at this incident angle, but minimum deviation occurs at only one incident angle. Students, remember, when I say angle of incident is 0, this angle 0 means if this is a prism and if this is a normal at the surface AB, then if the incident ray is also along the normal in the same direction, at that time incident angle is 0. Then suppose I want to make angle 20, then this is the incident ray, it makes an angle 20. Once again, if I want to increase the incident angle, then this is the incident ray, so this angle made is 40. So always the angle is made with respect to normal line, and we can increase the angle from 0 to 90. Suppose this is the incident ray. Once again, look here, suppose this is the incident ray, look here, and this is the normal. So now the angle made by incident ray with the normal is 90. So we can increase the angle of incident from 0 to 90 degree, and with respect to that we can measure the angle of deviation. So students, it is clear that we get two values of I for any angle of deviation. If we choose any angle of deviation, we can get two values of I, but only in one case, when the angle of deviation is minimum. In that case we get only one value of I. So now, considering the minimum deviation condition, that is when delta becomes delta minimum, at that time angle of incident and angle of emergent, they are also equal, as well as from the geometry of the figure we can show that R1 and R2 are also equal, and so we can denote that as simply R. From the geometry of this figure, if we apply the minimum deviation condition, then we can easily show that this R1 and R2 are also equal. Now, if R1 and R2 are equal, then in equation number 3, that is this. If we put R1 is equal to R only, R2 is also R, then R plus R is equal to A, and therefore 2R is equal to A. And so I have written here 2R is equal to A, and therefore R is equal to A by 2. Let us give this equation number 6. Also, if we put this condition in the equation of prism, that is I is equal to E, you can see here it is I, and even E also becomes I, because I plus E, but E is also I only. So I plus I is 2I. So 2I is equal to A plus delta. So here we get 2I is equal to A plus delta, but delta is now D minimum. So finally I is equal to A plus dm by 2. Equation number 7. So students, why we obtain this R and I? It is because at this surface AC AB, this angle is angle of incident and this angle is angle of refraction for this surface AB. And so we can apply Snell's law at this point Q. And we know that according to Snell's law, N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. So now we will apply the Snell's law. So I have written here, applying Snell's law at point Q on the surface AB, we get N1 sin I is equal to N2 sin R. Now simple mathematics is there. Bring this N1 this side and this sin R this side. So we'll get this ratio, N2 upon N1 is equal to sin I upon sin R. But we know N2 upon N1 can be written as N21, means refractive index of the glass medium with respect to air medium. This is the refractive index of glass, and this is the refractive index of the medium in which that prism made up of glass is kept. Finally, what is I? I is this. And what is R? R is A by 2. So N21 is equal to sin I and upon sin R. Just putting value of I and R. So students, this formula relates angle of prism, angle of minimum deviation, refractive index of the glass of which the prism is made up of, and the refractive index of the medium in which the prism is kept. Now here, if this angle of prism is very small, that is if the prism is thin, in that case angle of deviation will also be very small. Students, thin prism will look like this. you can see here this angle is small, so this is the angle of prism. So actually for a very small angle, even the prism will be thinner than this, which I have shown. So in that case, we know that if these angles are very small, then we can remove this sign here and simply write n21 is equal to a plus dm by 2 upon a by 2. So this sign should not be written for a small angle. But here in denominator you can see there is 2 common, so that is cancelled out. So what is remained finally? n21 is equal to, in numerator it is a plus dm, and in denominator only a. Now students, if we split this into two terms, that is reverse process of LCM, then a by a will be 1 and second term will be dm by, and then finally making the subject dm, you will get n21 minus 1 into a. So this formula can be used for a thin prism, means when the angle of prism is very small. Students, for thin prism deviation is very less. Now next topic, 9.7. Now students, some natural phenomena due to sunlight. Students, what is dispersion? That we all know. When a beam of light gets incident on the surface of a prism, and then when it emerges out, a spectrum of 7 colors are obtained. So this process is called dispersion of light. So this dispersion occurs, it is because that white light or a sunlight has different colors related to their different wavelengths, because white light is made up of the waves of many wavelengths. So according to different wavelengths, there is different types of deviations, and so we get the spectrum of 7 colors. Now students, due to this dispersion, there is a chromatic aberration. Chromatic aberration means when you observe an object through lenses, you will find colored borders. Suppose if you are observing this object, suppose you are observing a moon, then in that case sometimes it happens that at the borders of the moon you will find some shades of color. So that is nothing but is chromatic aberration, and that is due to dispersion of light through the glass, because we know that microscope or a telescope that uses lenses, and even the dispersion occurs due to lenses also. So students, we know that in a white light there are different colors, waves having different colors. Different color means their wavelengths are different, and so when a beam of light travels from vacuum to the medium, in a vacuum the speed of all the waves having different colors, or we can say different wavelengths, that is same in the vacuum. But when the medium changes, then what happens? The speed of different waves having different wavelength are different. As a result, many phenomena can take place or can be observed, like why the sky appears blue, why the clouds are white, why there is a reddish or orangish hue during sunrise or sunset, also formation of rainbow, etc. So such type of phenomena takes place. Now students, here formation of rainbow is shown. How the rainbow is formed. Students, rainbow can be observed in the morning or in the evening only. During afternoon, the rainbow cannot be observed. So students, suppose you can see here, this is a drop of water. During rain, when the drops they fall from the sky, what happens? This sunlight has a 2 times refraction and 1 times reflection. Let me show you. You can see this is a sunlight. Once the refraction will take place, then at this surface there will be total internal reflection, and then once again when it emerges out from this surface, there is a refraction. So when there is a refraction, at that time what happens? Different colors they are separated due to dispersion of light. And so you can see at the bottom there will be a red color, and at the upper part there will be a violet color, and other colors are in between according to their wavelengths. Wavelength of red color is maximum and that of violet color is minimum. So from maximum to minimum wavelength the colors are separated. So in this way, the rays coming from this side, when observed by the observer, the rainbow is seen. So here how it happens from the droplets of water is shown. Observer is here. You can see this red color light parallel to each other, as well as violet color light, they are parallel to each other. So here 2 drops are shown, but we know that during rain there are many drops, and from all that drops this phenomena takes place. Sometimes double rainbow is also observed, and that double rainbow is observed when the sunlight or sun rays they are horizontal, that is parallel to the surface. In that case double rainbow is observed. In that case you can see there are 2 times refraction and 2 times reflection. When the ray is coming from the sun, you can see here there is a refraction, then at this point there is a total internal reflection, once again at this point there is a total internal reflection. So 2 times reflection took place, and then once again when ray emerges out, there is a refraction. So refraction takes place at these 2 points and reflection take place at these 2 points. And so in that case, what happens? Double rainbows are observed. So here it is written that primary rainbow as well as secondary rainbow are observed. Now about scattering of light. Students, due to Earth's atmosphere, the scattering takes place. And due to scattering only, sky appears blue. The waves having shorter wavelength, they are scattered at a large angles. Red color, that is scattered very less. And so the one which is scattered more, that is blue, is observed. Now students, remember that scattering of light is proportional to 1 upon lambda raised to 4, where lambda is the wavelength of light or wavelength of different colors. And the scattering here for which this proportionality is obeyed is called Rayleigh scattering. Rest of the things you can go through the textbook and you will be able to understand. Here you can see in this figure that the sunlight travels through the longer distance in the atmosphere at sunset and at sunrise. And so there is a orange or reddish color observed in a sky. Here it is written that sky looks reddish. So that phenomena is shown here. So students, for more information or to understand these concepts, that is natural phenomena, you can also go through YouTube and search this type of phenomena so that you can understand it better.